Hi, my name's Susie Glover and I am a trainer at the National Retail Association, and welcome to our webinar on visual merchandising. First off, a little bit about who I am. As I said, my name's Susie Glover and I'm an industry trainer and research and assessor. I've been working at the NRA for around about 4 years, and during this time I've had a lot to do with our Ready for Retail program, which is an initiative that the government have put together, and it's giving disadvantaged youth skills, knowledge, communication, and how to work in a service industry. We've been lucky enough to have some of our students work at Coles, at TK Maxx, at online facilities, at hardware stores, and a lot of diversity in the retail market. I am a really firm believer in making sure that the environment that we create is understanding, positive, so that all the skills that we are trying to initiate actually are taken on and are utilised. So I hope that through this session, you're going to find some bits of information that are going to be something you can take away with you and use. There may be things that we talk about that you already know, but there may be some other areas that make you just stop and think and have a look at your business in how you can value add to it and value add for your customer. So the learning outcomes that we would like to have through this is visual merchandising, understanding who is your target market, and what their expectations might be. Display elements such as the various ways to display. So whether it's your height, the size that you want to create, the focus that you want to create. Colour blocking, which is extremely important. Planning, preparing and maintenance of your displays. Ticketing and labelling. And also that very important outposting. So the purpose of a visual merchandising display is to make sure that you are going to attract and engage your customer, motivate the customer towards coming in and experiencing your products or experiencing your brand. The customer interaction is so important. Customers nowadays are very savvy and they can go online and they can go and look at products. However, when they're coming in store, what they want is an experience. They want to be able to touch and feel and go home with not just a product, but an overall experience of the time that they've spent in your store. So the first thing we need to understand is that our customers basically eat first with their eyes. It could be a window display that draws them into your store. It could be the colour, it could be the lighting, it could be the music as they're walking past your store. But the first thing that's going to attract them is what they have seen. So you need to make sure that you are relevant to the environment, that you're painting a scene so that you can so your customer can understand what it is that they're going to be involved in, how they're going to make this picture. Take that whole creation that you have in your store and take it home with them so that they can experience it themselves. Through research, we've understood that sight is 83% of our customers' interaction with us initially in store. That's what draws them in. Then we have hearing. So obviously the music is really important, but it's relevant to what it is that we're selling. It's relevant to the display that we have on. So we're understanding that we are very visual people. So this is one of the reasons that we need to have these really amazing award-winning designs. We need to encourage our customer to immerse themselves in seeing, feeling and interacting with our products. Visual merchandising is an amazing way that we get that opportunity to connect with our customers, to get them to connect with us, to connect with what it is that we're selling, what it is that we believe in, what our brand is. This is how we can do this through visual merchandising. Successful visual merchandising involves good store layouts. It's no point having the right product in the wrong place. Using the right merchandise style for your product type so that it makes sense. Incorporating appropriate props and displays to support those products. So again, it's not the prop that is taking the product's attention, it's the product. Adding the correct signage and graphics to communicate with our customer so that our customer doesn't have to hunt for information. At the end of the day, visual merchandising can be and should be one of our most productive salespeople. So, like I was saying, it's one thing to have the right product for your market, but it's another thing to make sure that you're presenting that product to your customer in the best possible way. So we have to make sure that we merchandise effectively so that we can really make that difference between that passive browser and that customer that becomes informed on their purchasing decisions and that we inspire them. We need to make sure that we get creative with our merchandise displays because that means that we can transfer something that is very ordinary into imaginative creations that are going to inspire our customers to think about the product, to find out more about the product, to buy our product, because we've got the visual merchandising display that has drawn them in. Improving how customers feel in your store is really important too, that they almost feel at home, that they feel comfortable. So we need to make sure that we take pride in when we're doing a display. We want to make sure that our customers experience that feeling. And I know I've said it before, but I'll continue to say it throughout the webinar. The best way that you can do it is to get your customer to visually see how this is going to look or feel or work in their home or in their business. Now, one of the things that we spoke about at the very beginning was layouts. So there's some simple steps into making sure that your store is initially laid out properly. You need to draw a plan of your store, a very, very basic plan, as you can see here. Mark on it all the fixed items, so any doors, any fixtures, any fittings, and look out for the most visual points in that store. So this is where we want to make sure that we are going to put our key items. I recommend a north, south, east and west approach. So that is how you walk through your store. So then you need to decide where are you going to put your main category of products. So if, say, you have a product that it takes up about 50% of your sales, then that should be in category A. That's the main section of your store. Then you need to look at which is the next percent, which is the, and so on and so on. And so do category A, B, and C. Then we need to draw in the fixtures that we're going to try to use to maintain a balance for our store. We need to make sure that we are incorporating our walls, making sure that we don't have too much stock on our floors so that we still have that safe walkway, but also that walkway where our customers are going to guide quite seamlessly through the pathway that we are creating for them. Don't have lots of fixtures really low on the floor. And if you do have some lower fixtures, keep those at the front. So work up to a height as you go. So your customer is being taken on a journey from down the bottom to the top of your store. Now, once you've positioned all of these fixtures, you can then start to visually merchandise your store because now you're understanding your customer. You're targeting your customer and making sure that you are presenting all of your stock to the best advantage so that you can drive these sales with your customers. Target market is really important. You need to understand who is your target market. Who is the person that's buying my product? Who is the person that is utilising my services? So some of the things you need to know about that is making sure that you have the right focus in your store that is reaching your target market. Making sure that you're not putting too many things in there, too many displays, and trying to take a bigger slice of the pie. Again, come back to your core values and your core business and concentrate on what it is that you do really well and making sure that you are targeting that market. Now, looking at your target market and understanding, is it teenagers to middle-aged? Is it more elderly people? Is it across the board? So if it is across the board, making sure then that I have the right products that meet each of those target markets and putting it again into categories so that your target market is going to naturally progress to the category that is more relatable to them. Every store should have a decompression zone. Companies that do the decompression zone very well are supermarkets. So what they do is they make sure that they have at least 5 to 15 feet of space at the beginning of the store. So they may have window displays. For supermarkets, it may be that they have flowers at the front of the store. But once you walk past that, you have an area that allows you to just stop for a minute and have a look at the store. Get an evaluation as a customer of the store. Making sure that your customer has room to breathe as they are coming into your store. This is really critical so that your customers are not feeling overwhelmed as soon as they enter, that there is stock straight there when they are coming into the store. We have to give our customers this space because this is the first experience they're going to have of our store, and it gives them that gentle immersion into our store. We have also found through customer studies that customers will enter your store and unconsciously when they enter, they turn to the right. So this is a really important area of your store. What we call it in the retail world is your power wall. Now that wall can have stock that is high demand stock. It's stock that you get the most profit from, or it can be a wall that tells customers about who you are as a store, who you are as a company. It could be that it's your customer ethos up on the wall. It could be that it's the most asked questions that you have are answered there on your power wall. Whatever you do with it, you have to make sure that you really understand the meaning and the influence and the impact that this power wall can have. A really important thing, again, for your store is to make sure that you as store owners, you as store managers, understand that you have the capacity to guide your customer through this space. So what we want to make sure is that in your store planning, you allocate the correct space for the stock that is most valuable to you and to your consumer. If you do incorrect guiding, if you do a store that has so much there, what you are going to do is ultimately scare your customer off. So what we want to do is create that circulation that continues that movement through your store where your customer is going to be able to get a full vantage of your store. Now, one of the stores that do that particularly well is IKEA. IKEA guides you into the store and they guide you through the whole entire store, and that pretty much is the only way out. However, they have a lot of information as they are going through to keep the customer involved, to immerse the customer more in the experience. So it is really essential, whether you're a large store, whether you're a franchisee of a coffee store, whether you're an owner-operator, you need to make sure that you are dictating where your customers are going to go and where they're going to spend the most amount of time. Consider the outside of the store and make sure that that is your lead-in, that it is making sense to everything else in your store in how you are guiding them. Another important part of guiding your customers through your store is understanding that customers have a line of sight. Now, this generally is about a 45-degree line of sight. Customers will scan and they will view your store at about that 45 degree from the path of where they are walking. So you also need to make sure that once you've done your visual merchandising display, that you not only look at that display, you look at what is around that display. Does it all make sense? Does it draw my customer more into the store, further into the back of the store? So again, make sure that when you are looking at it, you are seeing it from the customer's point of view, from the customer's 45 degree of sight. What you can do to make sure that your customer is not just coming in and being guided through your store, that they are taking the time to stop and look at products, is making sure that you have a few attention grabbers. So you need to remember that where the eyes go, the feet will follow. So create breaks. We call these speed bumps, and they are a bit of a force for you to have your customer pause for a minute. Now, you could do this through having special seasonal displays. You could do this through having small outposts. So it could be, if you have some toys, you have a little outpost of batteries that go with that. So it just stops your customer for a minute. You could also do it through signage. The most effective usage of creating merchandise outpost is making that sure that these displays encourage impulse purchasing as well. So have your outposts that are in really close proximity to the item that you're drawing your customer in. So if it was a fashion store, for instance, maybe you would look at having some handbags or some jewelry or some shoes that go with the particular item in that area. Keep high demand products displayed at eye level, but also make sure that you are changing up these speed bumps regularly, so that if you have your repeat customers, you are going to still be creating interest for them. Now, planning your display. This is a guarantee that you are going to have a well-executed display. You need to make sure that you think about every step, that you gather everything you need before you do it, that you think about any risks that might be associated with setting up the display, or once the display is set up, any cords, any tripping hazards. You need to make sure that you're aware of that. Make sure that you plan a logical time to do the display. You don't want to get a display started and not be able to finish it. So whether it's a display that you do first thing in the morning, whether you do in the afternoon, never obviously at your peak times. So during lunch breaks, any of those times. So we always talk about that there are 6 components of a display plan. This can be defining the purpose of the display. So why am I actually doing this display? Is it because it's a seasonal display? Is it because it's a new product that we have that we would like to have out there and have our customers be aware of? Is it that we have stock that we need to move? So we're going to do a display around that. Whatever the purpose is, making sure that you define that. And again, keeping in mind who your target market is while you're doing this display. Then determine what resources you will need to do this display. Do I need a mannequin? What fixtures do I need? making sure that you have all of those in place before you physically start the display. Identify any safety restrictions, as I said earlier, or any other restrictions that might be involved. Select the best course of action. So again, when am I going to do this display? How should I do it? Do I need other staff to assist me with this? When is a good time to do this? When is the display physically starting? When is the product going to be going on sale? So making sure that I'm aligning both of those together. Then you need to implement that plan, actually put it together. And again, making sure that you step back and have a look at it. Monitor and display the display. This is a really important part. A lot of businesses will put a display up but not go back and monitor it. So if in the first couple of days you haven't had anyone coming to the store because of this display, you haven't had any sales due to the display, then you need to go back out and have a look at the display if it's in the window. Have a look at the display if it's on your floor and work out, maybe the display is amazing, I'm just not putting it in the right place. So evaluate that. And if you need to make any corrections, then make them. And then again, evaluate how those corrections have gone for you. The biggest source of understanding whether your display is working for you is talking to your customer. So when customers come into the store, asking them what's brought them in today. Did they see the display? Did that attract their attention? Now, they may have not come in because they want something that's on the display. They may have come in because it has just attracted their interest. And then they're in to experience the rest of your store. So we need to identify the following. The business expectations, which is why we're doing our display. What is the story that we want to tell our customers? Is there a target for sales or promotion that the display is supporting? If so, we need to, again, make sure that we are monitoring it. We are recording how the display is going due to our business sales. What is our budget? So what costs are going to be involved in that? Do we have a very, very small budget? And so, therefore, we need to limit some of the props that we use. You can still do an amazing display without having so many props involved. It just becomes a more focused point display. We need to also take into consideration the payroll costs. So if we're having staff away from their normal duties, we need to make sure that we're building that into our display. And then again, building that into our time frame. If we are going to do it just one person, obviously that's going to take longer. So again, looking at our store at our peak times and making sure that we're not doing it when we should be doing our peak customer service sales. So thinking about how long is it going to take to create the display. If it's just me, if there's a few of us doing that, obviously that time frame changes. When does the display need to be completed by? So does it have any supporting media that we need to have the display starting by a particular date? And how long does the display need to be up for? Required resources, again, that's talking about the props that we're going to use. Is there anything we need to source? Do we have all of the products that we are displaying available? Are we waiting on something? And again, with our resources, we do need to take into factor that we are also using those human resources, so our staff members. A big part of the display is the elements, so a balance, a symmetry. So the word balance obviously describes equal weight, something that is equal on one side to the other side. This is a great way to do your display where you want to draw attention to the item over and over again. So as you can see, we have here some t-shirts. So there are 3 different ways that we can do our displays using symmetry and balance. So obviously this one is just symmetry. So it's where we are absolutely balanced on either side. It's a mirror image. So if we were to halve that, we would have the same image on either side. Again, this is a really good way of doing repetition with your customer to get them to move from one side to the other where they are scanning the one product. Our asymmetric is where it is still balanced, but it's not equal balanced on either side. So this is an arrangement where the total weight of each side is almost equal, but it can be at varying heights, and it is a little bit irregular and a little bit crooked. This display is the most catchy display because, again, it is drawing our eye to one side and taking us through to another. Combination is where we use both. So there is overall balance. It's a coordinated story, but it has highs and lows. So this brings us on to creating like a hierarchy. So we can use heights and depths to grab our customer and make sure that they are very interactive with the product. So as you can see from this picture on here, we've fanned out objects and we've made sure that there's varying heights. So it's drawing our customer's eye in to one side and getting them to work up, which is called the pyramid principle, and getting them to come back down. So we need to make sure that we are very strategic in where we position our fixtures. So whether it's from the ground up, we need to make sure that there's room for the eye to wander and for us to see some interest. So again, using that pyramid principle, if you're struggling to create any visual height, is a really good way. It makes items look like they're cascading, whether it be down or whether it be up. And so it is, again, getting our customers' eyes to wander. So as you can see from this picture, it's not a very big display. It's a small display on a shelf. However, our eye does wander around because it does have that height and it's got this symmetry attached to it, but it is not equal. So this is a way that you can work on your focal point, but still have some other objects in there so that it's not flat and it's not boring. This is a display principle that department stores use and they use very well. Some display tips. Less is always more. What you are doing by having less products in there is getting your customer to really focus on what is in there, making sure that you are creating some space. So props can be very simple, like we saw in the previous slide, where they just have some flowers in there. So there's not a lot in there, but it is creating a theme, it is creating a feeling and an experience, but the product's not getting lost. So stay away from things that can be too busy. If your product is busy, you don't want to have a busy display. Odds versus evens. An odd number is always more attracting to your customer than an even number. So making sure that you still, with your odd versus even, you can still do the mirror image. If you cut a line straight through the middle of your three, you will have an even on either side. Now, as you can see with the slide that we have at the moment, up in the top right-hand corner, there are 3 displays. They each have 3 displays on each of them. So they are creating interest with each one. Your customer's eye is going to glide from the first display using the pyramid concept as well over to the next one, again with the pyramid concept, so you've got some height, and then finally to the last one. It stops your displays being dull if you make sure that you are doing the odd rather than the even, that you've created some space and you have put some height into your display. I did touch before on breathing room, so making sure that you have that room in between, that you're not clustering everything so close together and putting so many things in there that the product is being lost, particularly if you are displaying high-end luxury items. You need to make sure that you are having that space. Think about the contrast. As you can see from the display we have in here at the moment, the jumper is a very busy jumper, a very unique jumper. However, it is getting a bit lost with the background that is being used. So trying to choose something that is going to contrast with our product, so it's going to be showing off at its best vantage point. Now, again, I'm asking you to remember the customer experience everything through the visual merchandising. You are gliding them into your space. You are asking them to create a connection with you, to create a connection with you and your products. So if you owned an outdoor facility, maybe a gardening store, a hardware store, something that you could do is have a door that when you come to your retail seasonal calendar times, you can do a Halloween display at the front of the door, a Christmas display at the front of the door, a Mother's Day display, so that it just is constantly changing. If you are doing a table setting, that you make sure you have glasses on there, that you make sure you make it so that the customer is interested, and again, that they can envision these products in their own home. Maybe they don't buy them all the time, buy the whole lot of everything, but maybe you are encouraging them to purchase one item and give them that picture so that they can then come back and add on to those sales. Again, start the display closest to the entrance. So this is going to engage our customer. We want to make sure that we ensure that all the components in our store are in line with the story that we're trying to sell, so that again, we're immersing our customer in the experience. Welcoming customers into our space is easier when the customer feels that they haven't even left the house. So we want to find the experience that benefits them, that if these products were arranged in their space, that they would be happy in that space. So visual merchandising is intended to suggest products for your customer, as well as weaving together a visual theme and a story for the whole entire space. Colour blocking is important because colour blocking, again, affects the moods and the emotional connection that we are trying to have with our customers. We want to make sure that our colour blocking flows through our store. So when we're looking at colour blocking, the best advice is to think about the weather, think about the seasons, and make sure that it goes from the darkest to the lightest. So what we find is that most of our customers will travel, their eye will travel from left to right. So we need to make sure then we are working from the darkest to the lightest, making sure that we're remembering that our customer's eye is going to initially start at the left and work through to the right. So if we're looking at having our main product and then our add-on products that go with it, making sure that we're putting a main product to the left and then flowing through to the add-on products that go with it. Colour blocking encourages your customers to look through more stock. It encourages them to look through the display. It also makes your display look like it's really well organised. If you have chaotic colour blocking, your customer is going to become too confused, and what they are going to do is leave your store rather than stay in your store because it is too overwhelming for your customer. So again, with your colour blocking, choose your theme and then make sure that the colour is going to flow with that theme. Maintain some flexibility when you're displaying your colours together, as some colours may be sitting on the shelves longer than others. So we need to make sure that by colour blocking the old and the new, that you can still effectively maintain an attractive display. So there might be one particular colour that is the most popular colour that your customer is taking. So just making sure again that you are rotating that stock and being aware of the colour that is most popular so that it is always looking fresh. If you have a look at the picture that is currently up on the right-hand side, you will see that the herbs and spices section of a grocery store do the colour blocking really well. So again, your customer's eye is just flowing through. Educating your customers on some of your products or some information about your products that is commonly being asked. You can do this with your displays. So if, for instance, you had a coffee store, you could put up on a chalkboard or some signs talking about what are the most common coffees, what is the most common flavours. It's just a really good way to make sure that you are giving a really quick and brief description of your product without having your staff have their time monopolised on the questions that you're always being asked. So this can be presented in a really fun way. Most common questions. Here's the answer. Have that up on the wall. So while your customers are waiting in line, they can actually see that and then have a look at, okay, so that's my question answered. So when they come to you or when your staff approach them, some of their questions have already been answered. Keeping your displays fresh. So my advice would be to rotate or make some changes to your display at least every 2 weeks. You have to be making sure that you're taking into consideration the customer that is your repeat customer that is coming into the store all the time. So keeping it fresh for them. Play to the seasons. So particularly when there are products that are in high demand at certain times of the year, making sure that your display is reflecting that, but you are also rotating that display and keeping that interest in the display. So like seasonal displays, rather than just having, for instance, a Christmas display, they tend to stay in for a long time. So just going in and changing few little things. So again, that is creating some excitement for that repeat customer that comes into your store. So think about some events that are coming up. So like for instance, Mother's Day is coming up soon. So then it will be your DIY gardener that might want to create something special in their garden in a really short time. So making sure that you are taking that into consideration and doing a display that reflects that. That's your target market at the moment. So is it partners that are coming in to buy something? Is it children that are coming in to buy something? What is it that your target market is actually wanting from you? So making sure that your display is going to reflect that. So timely displays are really sure to grab your attention, your customer's attention. So again, keeping that close eye on your retail calendar. Making sure that your visual merchandise display does coincide with the relevant shopping events, with the relevant seasons. And if you have any community events coming up, making sure that you are coinciding with that. Or if you have a cause that your company supports, whether it's breast cancer, whatever it may be, that when there isn't anything on the retail calendar, do a display that just reminds your customers of who you are, what your ethics are, and what you support in the community. Signage and ticketing and point of sale materials. So obviously as retailers, we attract our customers in with our wonderful displays that are relevant to our target market. Signage and ticketing is also a way that we can inform our customers. So we don't want to have ticketing that is too hard for our customers to get to. We want to make sure that we are using it correctly so that our price tags are relevant to the stock or merchandise that actually is on the shelf. That display tickets that are used in the correct way, the correct ticket for the correct display. So is our ticket displaying the following? Does it have a message that's clear? Does it inform our customer? Does it suit our store's image? Is the content brief? Or do we have enough content in relation to the product that we're selling and the customer that's coming into our store? Is it clean and in good condition? Is it current? So is that the correct information on it? Is it the right price? Is it for the right display product? Is it stating when we're starting and when we're finishing? So is it all accurate? We need to understand that we need to constantly be looking at our displays. And if the signaging or ticketing or any labels are soiled or they are unclear or they've become damaged, we need to make sure that we remove and replace them immediately. If a store sees that ticketing is either being overused or isn't correct, this could really affect the image of our business. So for instance, the slide that we have on at the moment, there's a lot of information on that shop window. 50%, 30%, a percent off, 70%. What is it that is going on sale on that store? What is it relating to? So sometimes that can confuse our customer. And as I said, they're going to leave without purchasing a product because it's too confusing for them. It isn't the customer's job to understand our sale. It is our job to explain it to the customer. So if your ticketing isn't correct, your customer could be charged with the wrong price. Now, this could result in either a customer complaint or a loss to our business and a loss to our business image. It wastes sales team and customer time if the tickets aren't correct, if they're not informative enough. This can cause for, again, over or under ordering because we are not getting the correct picture at our point of sale area because we're charging our customer the wrong price. And is it breaching the pricing legislation? Have we got all the information we are supposed to be having on there? So again, if you see any issues, you need to make sure that you correct those as soon as you possibly can. So as you can see here, we have a ticket that has not very much information on it. It just says we will beat any price. Now, any price that I find on the internet, any price that is Australia-wide, what are they referencing? However, the ticket on the opposite side explains its terms and conditions. It says exactly what the price discount is going to be. So we're not confused. And they're saying how much they'll beat it by, 5%. And what they're saying is that includes any cashbacks and coupon offers, but it doesn't include any delivery. It is just about the product itself. So as a customer, I'm so much more informed by this ticket rather than the other one, we will beat any price. So here you can see we've got some various tickets Now, if you have the opportunity, this ticket that's talking about the red capsicum, this is obviously a product that is in store a lot. And it's a product that we have some information that our customers probably would like to know. They want to know what the nutritional value is, and they want to know how to store this so that they get the most out of their product. Now, because it's a product that we have in store a lot, the only thing that we really need to change is our price. So we can't do this with every product that we have in store, but there might be some products in store that we have that this is relatable to. It's a constant in our store. So being informative and giving that extra bit of information to our customer saves us at the point of sale area. The other picture that we have here is of a window display. So it is very basic. They're not using a lot to draw us in. However, they're telling us everything that we need to know. They're telling us that it's a sale. They're telling us that it's 30% off, and also that it's accessories, ready to wear shoes. Now, as I said, very basic window display, but it is enough to draw our customer in. It is enough to give our customers some information. And because we haven't put so much on there, our customer is able to see through the window and see some of the stock that we actually sell within the store. Again, we need to make sure that we're eliminating the price hunt. A customer shouldn't have to try and find out how much the store is, how much the product is. If they have to come and ask us, then the chances are that most of the time we're going to lose that sale. So we don't want to force our customers to go on a price hunt. We want to make sure that we have our tickets there, available, they're neat, they're accessible, and this is going to increase our sales. This is also an opportunity for our sales assistants to come and further engage with the customer. Outposting, I like to refer to these as little open wallet sections. So these are little speed bumps and displays that we have around our store so that they can create encouragement to our customers. They can be good, cheap little items that encourage our customer to purchase. These little outposts are often used in cross-merchandising products. It's really, really great technique because, again, you can have your main product and then the products that go with your main product. Placing something that customers really didn't realise that they want close to the point of sale can create interest. So we have that opportunity while we're farewelling our customer just to have that little outpost product there that our customer might take with them. Merchandise outposts are also an opportunity to try and test some new products that we have in store. Rather than doing a big area, just having that little outpost area so that we can see, is that something our customers are interested in? If it's something we're having to go back and restock frequently, then obviously we then need to move that into a bigger display area. As I said earlier, this can be a way that you can draw your customer in, but keep them flowing through the store by having these little outpost areas. So basically, it's like putting your customer some things of interest in front of your customer so that they're not going to just walk through our store on autopilot. So it gets them to stop and think and create those little points of interest. So every piece of information that we've talked to is about how you can visually improve the store layout. It's about making sure that you're bringing some strategies into your store so that you are providing the best ever overall experience for your customer. So the tips that are really important are making sure that as a store manager that you need to be aware of these facts. That once your display has been created, it's important to make sure that you're maintaining that you're regularly checking it. Whether you do that every morning as you walk into the store with fresh eyes. Making sure that the stock that we're promoting is going to increase our customer traffic. So again, if it's not, then we need to go back and have a look at it with fresh eyes. Have a look at what we're not doing. What is it that isn't drawing our customer into the store? Why aren't they coming further back into the store? And making those changes, whether it be changes to the display or whether it be changes to the location of the store. Making sure that you are maintaining your maintenance, so having regular safety checks to make sure that everything is sitting properly in your display. Now, this also includes making sure that you're maintaining correct cleaning of the display through its lifetime. Like I said, it's great if displays can be rotated weekly. If you have that big seasonal display that is going to be on for a month or maybe a little bit longer, making sure that you are going in and just adding a few little things so that you're creating a different interest for your display, but making sure that that area is constantly cleaned and is monitored through that time so that it is, again, really effective. Whether or not you allocate that to one staff member or whether that's something that as a team you work on. So I said, the display might need some alterations throughout it so that you're making sure you're refreshing its appearance. With the display that currently is on the screen, that could be something as simple as changing the colour. So keeping it that black and white, but then keep freshening it up by having different flowers, a different coloured bag, so that it is, again, drawing the customer's eyes in. Making sure that it is relevant, making sure that is, again, going back and having a look at it, is it as safe as it needs to be? If a customer was to take something off my display, is the whole thing going to fall apart or is it going to stay as is? Making it easy for the customer to access or to use, not necessarily with your window displays, but definitely with your in-store displays. Other adjustments that you could need to make is, again, changing your stock, ensuring that your display is balanced, making sure that you bring focus to the display. So what is it that I am focusing on? What is it that the product that I am using, so that the customer is coming into my store and going to experience more of that product? So in having any fixtures, any fittings, any actual resources that you're putting in the display, making sure that your store is not getting lost with what you're adding to it. Again, going and having a look at it, and do you need to put in some extra props? Do you need to put in some risers so that you have that pyramid display going? Any changes that you need to make, again, remembering that they are keeping in line with the theme. So remember why you are originally doing this display so that it's not going to get lost. As I did say earlier, your customers are the best point of feedback for your display. There is no harm in asking your regular customers, did they notice the display? What drew their attention? It's a really good way also to make your loyal customers feel appreciated, feel like they have a place in your store, that their points of view matter. So making sure you keep your displays fresh, full, and ultimately appealing. If you have started a display and you haven't been able to get back to it, you need to understand the repercussions of this. So that's why organising to do your display at an appropriate time is really important. If your customers see that there is a display that's not finished, then what is going to happen is they are going to wonder, what is the rest of the store like? So it is definitely with your window displays, it is a bit of a glimpse into the rest of your store. So make sure that you look at doing your displays when you feel you are able to normally get through the display from beginning to end. Now, I have a few little bonus tips for you. As you can see with this display, is that working? Yes, they have some colour blocking, which is great. They have a theme, but it's very boring. This display could be more attractive purely by adding some handbags, some accessories, some wigs to the mannequins, having something down on the floor that is creating more of a scene for your customer. So this display is, again, colour blocking. It does have a theme. It's not boring. It is creating some interest. It has height. It has some symmetry to it. And it's showing the customer an experience of what else you have in store. If you are really, really busy, so you are particularly time poor, but you have some amazing stock coming into your store, this is a really great way to create some interest. So it's a little bit blurry and I'm terribly sorry about that, but it has really pretty things are coming soon. So really amazing stock is coming soon. Hold on, regulars, there's some great stock coming your way. So think outside the box to let your customer know that something good is coming. It creates that interest. You could even put up there an amazing window display is about to be unveiled. So it gives you that little bit of time if you are time poor at the moment. Consider upcycling in your display. Now, it is a really great way to add some texture to your display and some interest to your display by having something old partnered with something new. It creates some interest and it brings your customers' attention to your store. Utilising some other old, almost thrown out items, but using it in a really creative and inspirational way. Your displays can also, as I said earlier, that you can have your little outpost to talk about cross-merchandising, or you can do a display that tells the whole story. So again, remembering where our customer's eye is going to travel from left to right. So having everything that we need to build this little cactus display at the end. So we naturally have one component that works with another. So this is a practical way to promote our product and get our customer to discover and look through the display to what the end result is going to be. Be witty with your visuals. Again, this is a really great way to create some interest. So having some interesting wording, as you can see with the shoe display. Now, they don't have a lot there. They've just got some shoes on display. However, they have this little quote, number one rule of a lady, keep your heels, head and standards high. So it draws your customer in. It encourages your customer to take a closer look. Creating immersive retail displays. Now, this is a display for a store that is promoting during the wet season. So they have their beautiful items and all they've done is add an umbrella to each of the display. So it's just creating a little bit of interest, something a little bit different within the store. Very important part is sales team knowledge. You need to make sure that all of your team are knowledgeable about the visual merchandising display that you have to start with, so they know where other items are located in relation to that display. If your team can't answer the question with confidence, then you do have that potential of losing the sale. So making sure that you are keeping your team up to date with knowledge of the display and that the products that are in the display. If something isn't selling, I have gone through and touched on that previously, making sure that you are checking, is it in the right place, rather than just giving up on it. Give it a little time, a couple of days, to work out whether it's where it should be. You can always tell, because if your stock is racing off the floor, you have that display in the right place. Another way, if you are time poor or don't have a lot of staff, is to utilise your window purely just with a white marker. So these are some really great ways to go and take a peek through this window and have a look. We don't mind. It's nice, isn't it? So that's encouraging people to come up and look into your store. Another really great way to draw some attention with your visual merchandising is having some chalkboards out the front that are just giving you some really basic information, changing them up as often as you can. This creates some interest for your customer. Remember to share the beliefs and the culture and the passion of your brand, of your store. This is going to improve your customer experience, and it's going to make your customer want to connect with you because they're connecting with the shared beliefs and culture. Think of little ways that you can thank your customer. We all like to be thanked. We all like to be recognised. So it could be in a ticket. It could be in a label. However, it purely could be in the way that you are saying thank you to your customer as they are exiting the store, using their name, making sure that you touch on the product that you've bought, that they've bought with you. These are really important ways to connect with the customer. So like I said very early in the piece, your retail space has to be the most productive and most effective salesperson because they are what are drawing your customer in to start with. So I'd like to thank you very much for joining us today. If you have any questions or you would like to find out further about visual merchandising, you'd like to send me some pictures of your store, please feel free to email me on susie.glover@nra.net.au, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you very much for your time today, and I look forward to seeing some amazing window displays and in-store displays. Thank you. Have a great day.